r/AskReddit. People who work for the super wealthy, what stuff have you seen? Worked as one of 4 full-time groundskeepers at a large estate. 46 acres of lawn to mow twice a week. 2 clay tennis courts, 3 pools, 1 for the main house and 1 for each of the 2 guest houses. 100+ acre private lake with boat house. No clue how big the whole estate was, including the woods. Personal favorite was the 3-mile personal race track. But what really blew my mind was that he hosted his niece's wedding one summer, paid $350,000 to have this massive willow tree trucked in and planted by the lake for wedding photos, only to pay another $50,000 to have it removed and the landscaping returned to its original state after the wedding because he did not like the look of it. I often do work for the wives of wealthy professionals. The thing that has always stood out to me is that if I tell them that something they want isn't doable, they respond with literal confusion. It isn't anger. It's confusion. They are so unaccustomed to not being given exactly what they want that it's as if they don't understand what is happening when they are told they can have something. Pumped a bunch of money into the Malibu City Council in order to change a few seats. This would allow him to have the local ordinance changed so his front doors could be taller than 20 feet. Not the craziest thing, but wild to me. I was working for a kind of well-off family during a summer. I went inside to get a drink, and the mom was cleaning the kitchen, putting things away and such. She picks up a MacBook and says to me, "Hey, do you want this? No one uses it. Got a brand new MacBook for college." My brother-in-law builds custom homes in the redneck Riviera belt of Florida. One day, he called me to come over to this $15 million beach house he was doing a complete remodel of. He was the original builder. He asked me to bring my truck and trailer. I show up, and he walks me through all 4 floors. He then says, "The owners have removed all the stuff they want to keep. She has told me to dispose of everything as I see fit. Get what you want. Furniture, appliances, outdoor furniture, rugs, lamps, artwork, you name it." I don't know the value of everything I took home with me that day, but it was the highest-end stuff I've ever seen. 4 floors of it, and I only got 1 trailer load because I simply couldn't fit anything else in my house. I likely had over $20,000 worth of furniture and appliances on that trailer. I did a male nanny, job for a rich couple who wanted someone to care for their kids. The wife didn't want a female nanny and I was in college, so it helped pay the bills. One day they asked, "Do you want to go to Hawaii?" Turns out the company that the husband was the COO of was doing an executive retreat in Hawaii. Instead of finding daycare in Hawaii for their kids, they thought it'd be easier to just pay for me to fly to Hawaii, care for the kids during the day, and then have my evenings or their family time free. So I went to Hawaii on their dime, had my own hotel room. They paid me for my time and gave me a large stipend for my own food/entertainment. I ended up with pretty much every evening off, so I got to spend it. During the day I brought their kids to the beach, we went hiking, and did some touristy running around. On top of that they gave me $5,000 in spending money, in case any of the kids wanted anything. I had to show receipts, but when I tried to turn in the receipts the wife just said, "Oh, don't worry about it, it's only a couple grand," and never verified how I'd spent some of that money. I couldn't tell if she just trusted me implicitly by that point, or if she truly thought the amount was so small it didn't matter. They were a really nice family, just very well off, which made just spending money on any problems the easiest answer. I actually got invited to the oldest daughter's high school graduation because she considered me a friend. Bartending at a fancy party in a very wealthy older couple's house where these people had art on display they had bought from museums. I was working in a room where 3 walls were glass and you could see this beautiful manicured garden with sculptures. When the sun started to set, these big floppy-eared white bunnies started to appear and frolic around the yard. I asked someone who worked in the house about the rabbits. The rich people bought them as a garden feature. Every once in a while they had to cull the rabbit population. The rabbits were decorations. This was also the night when I was making an older man a drink, and he decided to ask me, "So, what are the poor people doing tonight?" You weren't allowed to hand him or his family things that have already been opened or used. That bottle of sunscreen that was only used once. Don't even think about it. Everything has to be new. There was a desk that had bottles and bottles of just sunscreen that they only used once and never again. The interesting thing was this guy owned an eco resort. My friend is a mechanic. A wealthy, fat, famous and all-round unlikable entrepreneur came into his work one day and took a liking to his coworker. He asked my friend's coworker to come and work for him maintaining his car collection. It was really good pay and he got to work on some cool cars, so he thought, why not? His days were spent working on old, rare sports cars on his sprawling property, but every now and again he'd get sent to Europe or the United States to check out cars said entrepreneur was interested buying. He'd get sent to auctions all the time and ring up said entrepreneur while it was happening so he could bid on the car on his behalf. I was the project manager for a mansion build for one of the founders of a major health insurance company here in the US. This guy was one of, if not the, best billionaire I've ever worked for. He showed up nearly every day in shorts and flip-flops and would treat all of us like equals. This was around the time that President Obama was about to put out Obamacare. I was in a meeting with the owner and President Obama called him, on his cell, to discuss the plan. He, the owner, tells us to hold on, the president is calling, to which someone jokingly made a comment about, thinking he was joking. The owner asks Obama to say hi to the team, and he did. It was surreal to be at the table with him when the call came through. And an experience I will never forget. I was a trainee sailing on a container ship going from Dubai to Tokyo and back, via all the big ports. One day the route was changed and now we would go from Singapore to LA. Because this change wasn't planned, we, the two trainees, didn't have visas for the US, meaning we couldn't leave the boat once we docked. For us it was not a problem, we'd only be there for 2/3 days at most. The company decided we should get the visas. They flew us from Hong Kong to our home countries, got us a 10-year work permit for the US in a matter of days, and then flew us back to Dubai to join the ship. I've never seen money thrown around like that for little to no reason. It was crazy. I don't know why I love this story, but I always bring it up to show how the real wealthy treat money. My father was the private chef for a billionaire. He's famous-ish, and would travel with him on his private jet, make him anything he wanted, etc. He was a very, very genuine man, the billionaire, and was very good to my father, and us as his family. That being said, one story always stood out. He wanted a smoothie. They had just arrived at his house X in beautiful location Y, and my dad hadn't been in that kitchen in quite a while. He couldn't find the blender and was told to go out and buy one, high-end of course, and make a smoothie. He does this, makes smoothie, boss is happy, and while cleaning found 10 blenders in obscure spots likely done by the cleaning crew. It just to me puts things in perspective at a real level. This man had thousands of dollars worth of pristine high-end blenders I probably wouldn't even entertain buying because it'd be too much for me to justify for a blender, and could care less. I don't know, but to me it was a very real example of wealth at a human level, if that makes sense. I was previously engaged to an insanely wealthy man, and could write a book on the insanity that was my life for 2 years. He was in his 20s and owned a Bugatti, Lamborghinis, Rolls, etc., etc. It was the classic love bombing beginning, and then I found out how insane he was. His friends never lasted long, and all of his friends were always getting something out of him. They were never equals. I was always a supporting role also. When my family dog of 18 years died, he was annoyed that I was sad, and told me, I wish my problems were that small. He had extreme control issues, so he'd never drink or do drugs to always be in control, which correlated with his bizarre body issues. His diet and workout regimen was extremely controlled and of the utmost importance. This man would literally suck and lick the powder off chips, but not eat them to save the calories. He also was obsessed with Michael Jackson. This was like 6 years ago. And it was all we would listen to. Insane. I work in IT consulting and management. Some of our clients are very rich and very private. One of our clients comes from old money. They pay us to manage the IT for their main property, huge ranch/mansion surrounded by other ranch properties they own. When I walked in the front door to this place, I was greeted by a real jaguar that was stuffed and posed on a boulder. One of their properties has a massive warehouse that feels like that last scene in Indiana Jones' Lost Arkansas. The lights even do that staged row by row thing. They have rows of family history, files, letters, trophies, etc. It even has a temperature and humidity controlled room within. In there I saw a mix of family heirlooms, artifacts and old art, even a row just for the stamps and seals they have used for their hundreds of businesses through the years. But I knew they were true wealth when I saw pictures of multiple generations with British royalty. Some family members of this client played on the same polo team as the main British royal family, and one of their many businesses was / is breeding/selling horses to that crowd. Some of the horses in their stable are $1 million plus stud fee. It's the kind of money/connections I couldn't earn or create in a single lifetime. It's crazy to witness.